This conference will now be recorded.
Hello students, I'm Dr. Divya from TeenEinstein. So now we are learning about why do we fall ill? 13th chapter, 4th part. So in this chapter, we are discussing about what is health and what is a healthy condition and how our health condition changes or how a failure in health condition happens. Then what is the disease and what are the causes of that and what are infectious diseases. About that we are discussing in this chapter. So already we are discussed about health and its failure. And under this, we are discussed about significance of health. Right. First, why do we fall ill? Why we are falling ill? To know that, we should know without ill, what is the condition or how we will be. Then only we can say that if that condition changes, we are going to fall ill. So first, we should know what is the normal condition and how the changes are happening and how we are falling ill. Right. That's a process. First, from a healthy situation, we are going to a unhealthy or we are moving to an unhealthy situation or unhealthy condition. So first, we should know what is a healthy condition, right? And how it is, how there is a failure coming and what is the result of that failure. So first, we should know significance of health. Then what and all matters, how the health is important and what and all matters for that. So we have already discussed that personal issues, community issues, both matters for this. Personal and community issues. And this personal issues means both mental, physical and social. Everything matters, right? Mental health matters, physical health matters and social health also. Social well-being, everything matters for this, right? And then we have learned the difference or the distinction between healthy and disease-free condition. Healthy condition and disease-free condition, isn't it? So we'll be able to differentiate now because we have already learned all these things. So we are able to distinguish between what is a healthy condition and what is a disease-free condition. Then what is called as disease and what are all the causes of that disease? Disease and the causes of disease. Right? So how a disease condition will be? Diseased condition will be. So we have learned diseases and different causes of diseases. Under that, we are learning about what does disease look like, how a diseased condition will be, right? Then diseased condition itself is of different types, that is acute disease and chronic. So if acute diseases, how it will be, that will be short-term diseases and we can recover from that within few days, right? What about chronic? Chronic diseases, they are long-term diseases and sometimes it may come for lifetime. So it is difficult to recover from such situations, the chronic situations. So what we will do there, this chronic diseases, maybe it may be affecting only one part, but our body that is working in an organized manner, right? All are interconnected, all the processes which are going on in our body, that is interconnected. So definitely it will affect. If one part is not working or one part is not going in a proper way, that will definitely affect the other processes also. So the chronic diseases, it is up to an extent, it is affecting the whole body, right? So we can compare here acute and chronic disease. So the long term effects you can expect from this chronic diseases, right? So they are creating drastic changes or long term changes on people's health compared to acute diseases. Then we have learned another point, the causes of disease, right? So there will be different levels, right? And different reasons, personal hygiene and the social well-being, everything matters here. Then we have discussed about infectious and non-infectious causes. See, causes of disease that may be infectious and non-infectious. Infectious means that is due to hygiene issues, like due to microorganism it may spread, right? Non-infectious means that is not through microorganism, right? It cannot spread like that. There may be some genetical issues or something like that, which is non-infectious. So microbes which can spread in the community, that is called as infectious. Their agents are spreading that diseases. But what about non-infectious? That means genetic abnormalities that cannot be spread like infectious diseases, right? So now we are learning. So about all this, hope you're clear with all these concepts. So now we are going to infectious diseases. Okay, we are going to learn about infectious diseases. So the way in which disease spread and the way in which they can be treated and prevented at the community level will be different for different diseases. Okay, so it depends on whether the disease which is causing, that is infectious or non-infectious disease. So first we will learn about infectious diseases. Infectious diseases. So what are infectious diseases? So we know that the entire diversity, diverse forms of life you can see on earth, right? So the entire diversity which you can see in the living world, that can be classified into few groups, right? The classification of entire diversity that we have learned, plants and animals, in animals itself different groups are there, so everything we have learned, diversity that can be classified or that can be grouped into few groups, isn't it? So this classification is based on some common characters between different organisms. So how we are classifying the organism? Classification. While learning about the classification, while learning about the plant kingdom and animal kingdom, how we did the classification, and we have learned about five kingdom classification, right? So the five kingdom classification, how we have done that, or how people, the scientists have followed several rules or several general features, and based on that they have made the classification. So that common characters, the classification based on common characters between different organisms. That's how we have done the classification. Common characters between organisms, right? Based on that, based on the common features, they have made big groups, right? Big classes. And under that sub-classifications they have made, that sub-categorization, how they have done, based on few differences among those organisms, isn't it? So organisms that can cause diseases, they are found in wide range. Okay, so such categories, wide categories are found. Organisms. See, infectious diseases means through organisms, through microorganisms. These microorganisms are causing different diseases. That's why it is called as infectious diseases that can be spread by this microorganisms. So that can be spread in communities, right? So that organisms which can cause disease, such organisms are found in different categories of classification. Organisms are classified into different categories. So different categories of organisms are present. So some of them, some categories are viruses, right? And bacteria. All these are microorganisms, right? Then fungi. Then protozoa, right? So all these microorganisms are causing diseases. We used to say that viral diseases or viral fevers are there, some bacterial diseases are there, fungal diseases are there, protozoa that is also causing diseases. So some of the microorganisms which are categorized or which are classified, they are virus, bacteria, fungus, protozoa. All these organisms are causing diseases, right? Single-celled animals or protozoans, these are single-celled animals or protozoans, they are also causing diseases. So some diseases are also caused by multicellular organisms. Okay, some diseases, they are caused by multicellular organisms. Like some, for example, we can say some worms are causing some diseases, right? Some worms are there which are causing diseases, right? So one by one we'll study. First, let's see some infectious diseases. First one is SARS virus. Few examples we are learning. SARS virus, the first example which we are saying, this is a viral disease. So here, this is a virus which is causing the disease. The full form, first we need to learn the full form of this. SARS means severe acute respiratory syndrome. Severe acute respiratory syndrome. That's called as SARS. Okay. Actually, this severe acute respiratory syndrome or SARS, that is an infectious condition. Infectious, the SARS disease, that is an infectious condition. Okay. And this can cause serious respiratory illness. Serious respiratory issues. Okay, that can cause serious respiratory issues, and sometimes it may cause death also. Okay, that can cause severe respiratory issues, and it may cause sometimes death also. And mainly we can say the SARS disease, that is a respiratory issue. Okay, first you need to learn the severe acute respiratory syndrome, and this virus, this will come out of the surface of infected cell. See, some people are getting infected, or any cell is getting infected. What will do? It will come out of that infected cell, and this is a very minute one, and the size we can say that's around 500 nanometers. Can you imagine 500 nanometers, which is half of a micrometer? Okay, that means which is 1,000th of a millimeter, right? So the scale line that gives us an idea how small these things are. Okay, we cannot see with our naked eye, so that much very small minute microorganisms. So how can we find out? It's impossible to find out, like this person is getting infected or the microorganism is coming and infecting our cells. So it's impossible. So after getting the symptoms only, we'll come to know that we have got some kind of disease which is affecting our health, right? So later we will come to know that the symptoms will appear. So it may cause respiratory issues, and later if you are not treating at the right time, it will cause serious respiratory issues, and that may lead to death also. And here, see, within months it can spread worldwide, right? Because people will be traveling here and there, and this SARS virus that can transmit, or that can get transmitted through droplets which is entering to the air. Okay, so if some person who is affected with the SARS virus, if he is coughing or sneezing, through that droplets, it can enter to the other person, someone who is not having the disease. Okay, so while talking, the person won't be knowing, because in some people they'll be having good immunity. So in such people, it will take time to appear the symptoms. So already that person is infected, and we are traveling along with that person, or we are sitting and talking to such people. Just imagine, it's very easy through the droplets, or the sneezing, or while coughing, sneezing, or while talking, the droplets may enter to the other person, right? So this can be spread very easily. So how it spreads? Through air, by airborne respiratory droplets, it can spread, and by touching the contaminated surface, it can spread by saliva. See, while sharing the drinks, if you're having some juice or something, people are sharing, friends are sharing that. Through that also it can spread. And skin to skin contact, by that also, like giving handshakes. So through that also it can spread. If it is going to critical situation that need emergency care and lab tests, everything is required. And definitely this kind of diseases that require medical diagnosis. Okay, so this can be treatable by medical professionals and require medical diagnosis. And the thing is that this can spread very easily, right? So within, if short term, and this is short term, and we can resolve this within days or 2 weeks. If it is bit serious, we can recover within weeks. But if it is going to critical situations, it need emergency care. So this, some more points which we need to learn, because nowadays diseases, that's not easy to handle. So this SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome, that is actually, we said sometimes it may be fatal, or usually it's a contagious, and sometimes it will go to the fatal condition, that is a respiratory illness, right? So this severe acute respiratory syndrome, severe acute respiratory syndrome or SARS, that first appeared in China. Okay, in China this is first appeared, that during 2002. Okay, and after few months, or within few months, we can say the SARS spread worldwide. Worldwide spreading happened. Okay, because people will be traveling from here to there, through every country they'll be traveling for business purpose, for study purpose, for so several people will be traveling all over the world, so they carried like all these diseases, because it's easy how quickly the SARS infection can spread. That shows the spreading of that disease. Okay, so that highly mobile and interconnected world, that showed how quickly infection can spread all over the world. On the other hand, a collaborative international effort that allowed this health expert to quickly find out the spreading of this disease. Okay, so normal symptoms of the SARS symptoms: fever, it will be above 100. Then dry cough will be there. Then it's affecting the respiratory system, right? So shortness of breath. And I said this SARS, it's a serious disease. So this can lead to the death of that person also. So if you have serious symptoms like respiratory infection, if you have flu continuously, it's not going down. So these are the symptoms which fever after traveling somewhere, such kind of fever which is above 100 and it is existing for few days, then you have to consult a doctor, right? So how it will spread? It will spread through droplets, and that can enter the air when someone with this disease, SARS disease, they are coughing or sneezing or while talking. So experts So experts think the SARS that spread through contact, through personal contact, mainly through personal contact, like caring of someone who is having that SARS disease. And the virus that also may be spreading on through contaminated objects, it can spread, like doorknobs will be there, then telephones, elevator buttons. So such things will be touching. See, after sneezing, one person is having, so while sneezing, he'll cover his nose. So with the same hand, if they are touching without cleaning their hand, if they are touching some lift buttons, or they are holding somewhere handle of the door somewhere, and another person who is taking care of this person is coming and touching, so everything, there is a chances are more for such diseases, right? So that's the points which we need to learn about the SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome. Okay, next is about the second one, staphylococci. Staphylococcus. Actually, Staphylococcus, this is a group of bacteria. So virus, about one virus, SARS, that we have learned. Staphylococcus is a bacteria, and there are more than 30 types. Okay, more than 30 types are there. 30 types, like we can say the variants are there. While corona disease, you came to know that different variants of this COVID virus, it is there, right? So like that, staphylococcus, that is a group of bacteria, and these are in spherical shape. Okay, generally the staphylococcus bacteria, they'll be present in several numbers. It will be present, where it will be present, mucous membrane, it will be present. Then skin of human and other warm and cold, warm-blooded animals. Okay, then skin of warm-blooded animals, it will be present. So generally, why we are saying the staphylococcus, that term staphylococcus, it is generally used for all the species. The staphylococcus, see, we said there are different types, around 30 types are there. So generally, we are saying this is used for all the species which are like cells or the habits of aggregating in grape-like clusters. Okay, it will form clusters, cluster forming bacteria. Okay, so staphylococci, microbiologically we can say they are non-spore forming. They won't form spores. Okay, and they are non-motile, non-spore forming, non-motile. Then they don't want oxygen. Okay, without oxygen they can live. Such organisms we will say facultative anaerobes. Facultative anaerobes means they can live without oxygen. Okay. And some types of the staphylococcus, generally the general one, the common one we are saying, staphylococcus bacteria, this can cause acne. Staphylococcus, they can cause acne. And skin disease, so that can cause acne. Then some significance to humans on there are various strains you can see: Staphylococcus aureus and Staphylococcus epidermidis, and Staphylococcus epidermidis, that is a very mild pathogen. See, different types we can see, around 30 types we said. In that, Staphylococcus epidermidis, that is one mild pathogen. These are all some extra knowledge, just GK I'm saying. So mild pathogen. Then Staphylococcus aureus, that is a major agent. Aureus. This is not, this is a major one, and this can cause wound infections. Okay, this can cause wound infections also. Which one? Staphylococcus aureus. Okay, and skin infections. Then the Staphylococcus aureus, they can cause some serious infections like pneumonia, then urinary tract infection, meningitis, all this. Okay. So that's about a type of bacteria which is called as Staphylococcus. Next is about one protozoan. So these are the infectious diseases which I'm saying, and different types. Like we said, sometimes it may cause by bacteria, fungi, virus. So virus, SARS, virus we have already learned. An example is SARS virus, which we said. Then bacteria, now we have learned Staphylococcus. And next is trypanosoma. Trypanosoma. Trypanosoma, that is a protozoan. Okay, that's a protozoan which is causing sleeping sickness. See, this trypanosoma, that is a protozoan, and trypanosoma, this word meaning I'll tell you, it will be very easy. Trypano or trypanon means, in Greek, trypanon means borer. Then soma, soma means body. And this trypanosoma, several species are there, and that trypanosoma which is going inside the body and different types of pathogenic infections. So they are creating different types of infections in humans. So trypanosoma is causing sleeping sickness, we said. This causes sleeping sickness. One species of trypanosoma is causing sleeping sickness. So what is happening in sleeping sickness? Severe headache will be there. Then fever, some kind of irritability will be there. These are the symptoms. Then extreme fatigue. Then you can see lymph nodes will be swollen. Swollen lymph nodes. Then muscles and joints will be aching. Muscles and joints. And in some people, they will give rashes also. Okay, they may cause rashes. So here in this disease, we can see that some personality changes, neurological problems may appear, personality changes may appear. And after infection, that is affecting the central nervous system, CNS. Okay, so some people, they in them you can see skin rashes, then progressive confusion will be there, personality changes will be there, neurological problems may raise. So that is finally it is affecting the central nervous system. Okay, so that's about trypanosoma. So trypanosoma, that is a protozoan which is responsible for sleeping sickness. Okay. Next comes another microorganism, Leishmania. Leishmania, this is also a protozoan, and this is a single-celled organism. Single-celled organism. And that causes what? Kala azar. Kala azar. This is the disease name. And here the organism, they are oval shaped. Oval shaped organism you can see. And each organism that is having a long whip-like structure. Oval shaped organism having long whip-like structure. Okay. So Kala azar, that is caused by Leishmania, which is a protozoan. This color ulcer that is otherwise called as leishmaniasis because it is caused by leishmania. So it is called as leishmaniasis. Okay. So what are all the symptoms? Weight loss will be there and disseminated intravascular coagulation will be there and skin color will change. Okay. Grayish discoloration of skin. Grayish discoloration. This is the main symptom. And this leishmania, we need to tell one point that is a vector-borne disease. Okay, it won't go. It is getting transmitted by sandflies. Okay, this is transmitted by sandflies. Next, another organism which we are going to learn, that is Ascaris. Ascaris lumbricoides. Okay, this is roundworm. Ascaris lumbricoides. This is a scientific name of roundworm. Okay, and this is found in small intestine of human being, and this is very small one. This is a parasitic worm. Okay, parasitic worm, and this is a large parasitic worm, and that causes disease called ascariasis. In human being, it will cause ascariasis in human. Okay, so this is the most common parasitic worm which is found in human, and like 1/6 of human population, we can say at some point they are getting infected by this roundworm called Ascaris lumbricoides, and people living in tropical and subtropical countries, they have the greater chance of this infection. So we have learned about roundworm Ascaris lumbricoides. So these are the common worms or the bacteria, organisms, the microorganisms which we have learned. So these are the examples which you need to remember, the infection and the mode of infection, how it is working. All these things you need to remember. Next thing, then the common examples of disease which is caused by virus. Viral disease, common viral diseases, they are common cold, right? Then influenza, then dengue fever. These are all viral diseases. Then AIDS. Okay. Then some bacterial diseases are there. Bacterial diseases, we can say tuberculosis, then cholera, typhoid, anthrax or anthrax. These are the bacterial diseases. Then some fungal diseases are there, like different kinds of skin infections which are caused by fungal infections. Some skin diseases, different types of skin diseases are there which is caused by fungi. Then the protozoan diseases, protozoans, they are causing many diseases like malaria, kala azar just now we said, malaria. These are all caused by some protozoans. Okay, some intestinal infections, all of us have come through this, some kind of worm infections like then diseases like elephantiasis, which is caused by another type of worm. So here and all we need to notice that what are all the symptoms, is there any infectious agents are there, and how the factors are deciding the infections, or important factors in deciding and detecting this kind of treatments which we need to use, and the members of each group like virus, bacteria and all. So which are the common biological characters of this, and if it is getting infected, how the symptoms will appear, and in which stage we need to get the treatment, everything. So all viruses, for example, we can say they are living inside the host cell, right? Viruses and virus and bacteria, then fungi, all these will multiply very quickly, right? Virus, actually they are living, when they are entering inside the body, then they will utilize that host body, they will utilize host body, and their genetic material will get into that host genetic material, and that's how it is multiplied. Okay, that virus means it's just a genetic material. When it is entering the host body or host cell, it will start working. Up to that it won't work. Okay, so all these organisms, fungi, bacteria or virus, whatever may be, it is multiplying. Fungi, bacteria or virus, all these are multiplying. They'll multiply very fast. Okay, so worms, compared to this, worms will multiply in very slower way. Comparing with this fungi, bacteria, virus and all, worms multiplication is, they are showing slow multiplication when we are comparing these. Okay, so to block this multiplication, there are some drugs or medicines which can cause the stopping of the multiplication of this organism. So we can stop the growth, or we can protect or prevent the growth or multiplication of this organism, so that the infection will get reduced, or it won't go to a worse stage. When we are taking treatment at right time, that multiplication or the growth of that organism in the body of a host, that can be prevented, right? That multiplication can be prevented. But the thing is that same drug won't work for all the organisms. Okay, so microbes which are belonging to different groups, same drug won't work, right? See, usually to prevent such organisms growth, doctors or physicians will prefer antibiotics. So they commonly, this antibiotics, they're blocking the biochemical pathways which are important for bacteria. So many bacteria, for example, they are making a cell wall to protect themselves. So antibiotic like penicillin, what it will do, that will block the bacterial process which is built in that cell wall. Okay, so when antibiotic like penicillin, when it is entering into the cell, that will block the making of this kind of cell wall, so that the bacteria will die very easily. Okay, but when we are taking this kind of antibiotics, it will not affect the human body. Why? Because human cells don't have any protective cell wall and all, so it cannot affect it. It cannot degrade that human cell. Instead of that, if any infections are there, like bacterial infection which is covering or which is creating the protective covering, that will destroy that covering. So it is affecting only that bacteria. So the process of making cell wall is getting inhibited by the intake of penicillin. Okay, so like that, many antibiotics are working against many species of bacteria, and the same drug we cannot use for all the organisms. Okay, but the same way we cannot protect the viruses. That's why we are saying this will not work for viruses. Okay, so viruses do not use the same pathway of constructing this cell wall to protect. So all that's the reason why antibiotics do not work against viral infections. So if you have a common cold, taking antibiotic does not protect us from that, or it will not reduce the severity or the duration of the disease. Okay, so bacterial infection along with viral cold, that time we can take antibiotic to prevent or to get protected from that bacterial infection. Okay, so in that case, this antibiotic will work only for the bacterial part of that infection, not the viral infection. Clear? That's why we are saying all the drugs won't work for this microbial infections. There is a particular group of organism which is working or which is getting inhibited. Their pathway is getting inhibited by this kind of antibiotics. Okay, virus won't get any inhibition when we are using this antibiotics. At the same time, we can get protection from bacterial infection. Okay, so these are the different types of microorganisms which are causing the infectious diseases. So in the next class, we'll be learning the means of spread, how these diseases are getting spreaded in the community. Okay, so you just go through here. The main thing you have to learn about the infectious diseases and the agents, few agents, some bacteria, some viral infections, which I have explained now, and the symptoms which are developing if you are getting infected, and why the drugs, why we are using antibiotics, and antibiotics are giving protections from which type of organism, and why the antibiotics are not working for the viral infections. Okay, so that's all. In the next part, we will be learning about the means of spread of this infectious diseases. Okay, thank you.